All right, everybody, listen, I want to thank you for joining me this morning for morning coffee. I hope everybody's weekend was amazing. Last week was quite a busy week, and of course, everybody knows that we had to postpone our photo walk because of rain. But you know what? It gives us an opportunity to do it on the 15th, which looks like it's going to be an amazing, warm and sunny day. So, but first, I just want to introduce everybody to, where are you? There you are, Lynn Grushka. And Lynn, you could ask Lisa. I have this problem with pronouncing names. So I just want you to introduce yourself, Lynn, if you can. It's amazing meeting you down there at the trade show. She's one of our newest members.
Yeah, thanks. I haven't actually pronounced it perfectly. So thank you for inviting me. This is such a great group. I met a lot of great members. I see Dave is here too. So I'm excited to be part of this group, and I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody. My name is Lynn, and I'm with Enyo, and my passion is teaching people how to get rid of the chemicals in their house so that you can create a healthier environment. Or if you know of anybody who has health issues or skin issues, asthma, allergies, getting rid of the chemicals in your house will really improve the air quality and your health. And I look forward to telling you more about it as it goes on and getting to know each member here. So thank you, Ivan.
Listen, my pleasure. And I'll tell you how she got me. She got me with the whole, ShamWow thing. Sorry, I shouldn't say ShamWow. That's not okay. Right. But it's can you explain the whole car, quickly? But I'd love to have you tell everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have just a little sample. I don't know if you're familiar with this kind of fiber here, but Enyo is a fiber from Austria that is designed to clean with just water. So I was showing Ivan the car one, which is actually going on special this month because Father's Day is coming up, so we always bring it back. But it's basically it's a glove that you wet and you can clean your whole car, and then you use the drying cloth to shine behind. So there's no soap needed. There's no products. It's just a little bit of water and the fibers do the cleaning for you. You do have to move them around a bit. You do have to do a little work, but it is way easier and faster to clean with Enyo, and it takes a lot less water. You can get your car done faster than if you had to drive to the car wash, and your car will shine. I had a neighbor once who's cleaning their car with all kinds of things. I lent it to him, and he was just amazed. Italian guy, so he's out there every weekend cleaning his car. And so when he got this, he was just amazed that he could get his car as shiny without even waxing it.
You had me at without doing much work. I thought that was cool. Thank you so much.
I know. Yeah.
All right.
So anywhere you can save time, right, Ivan?
Absolutely. So let's quickly whip through the announcements for the day. Today, of course, you have morning coffee with me, Ivan Sutton. Thank you all for coming. And then right afterwards, we have our discussion lounge, right, with Lisa Bishotti. And Lisa does an amazing job. This is a members only lounge, but wow, does she ever go deep on helping members to network together and solve problems. So please, members, stick around for that. It's always amazing. And, it's funny that hour from 10:30 until 11:30, I think is going to drag on. But then it's 11:30. I'm thinking, wow, where did the time go? So it's really, really good. So then tomorrow on Tuesday, so our chapter city leaders tomorrow, of course, at 9:30, we have a city leader call, and your city councilors are welcome to attend. Then at 12 o'clock noon tomorrow, Jennifer Ferris and Jackie Stewart have the secret sauce, the magic of mindset and momentum. So with that momentum, Jackie, why don't you explain to us what's going on?
I don't think we've actually chosen a topic for tomorrow. So where's Jen? Is she on here? We haven't got a topic for tomorrow. So it will be a surprise. And for those of you who haven't attended before, we spend time talking about giving you different mindset hacks and different plans that you can put into place in order to get your mindset where it needs to be so you can create momentum in your business and get out there doing things. So that's about it.
That's right. So if you'd like a gentle kick in the butt, please join Jackie Stewart and Jennifer Jane there for the secret sauce. Then Wednesday morning, we have real estate investing with Yuri Nesbitt. That's always exciting. And then, of course, from 7 o'clock p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Linda Frazier continues her, the Narcissist Awareness and Support Group. All right. That's with Linda Lane Consulting. Then Thursday morning, of course, we have Tech Talk with Catherine Davies. Now, listen, we have some new members. And so for the new members, we have a back-end dashboard training on Thursday at 11 o'clock. So I'm sure that when you logged in there and you set up, you saw how many crazy features that we have back there. So I just want to re-emphasize the fact that everything that you do back there, whether you're posting a classified ad or a blog or a photo album or whatever it is that you're posting or coupon, it's all optimized, fully optimized for Google. So I'll not only show you how to use those features, but I'll also show you how to optimize them so that you get as much bang for your buck. All right. So today's topic, everybody, is about it's who you know. So how many people have heard that before? You've heard it's who you know. All right. Okay. So can you tell me another variation of that you've heard?
People do business with friends.
People do business with friends. Okay.
Or who knows you?
It's not who you know. It's who knows you. I love that one. All right. What else? I heard a very interesting one yesterday that it's not who you know or who knows you. It's who you know. So it's the people who you know, who they know, that can help you or something. It was crazy. But I thought, okay, we're getting a little complicated. It still comes down to the basics, right? I know a lot of people, but if you were to go to them and said, Ivan Sutton, they'd probably go, who? Right? So here it is. When we talk about networking, right? When we talk about networking, there's evidence that many networking strategies out there about getting to know people getting to know as many people as you can, right? And so we go out to networking events and we try to meet as many people as we can, right? We do the elevator pitch, we collect cards, we do speed networking, right? And these things kind of make sense, right? You push information out to as many people as possible and someone will connect. And you know what? This actually works, right? And it still works. You do it. And that's what we all do from time to time, right? And then it is it's not who you know, but who knows you. We understand with so much information that we meet so many people, it's hard to remember everybody. And especially, the nuances of everybody, things like, birthdays and the kind of wine that they like, et cetera, right? So we build strategies to repeatedly place ourselves in front of the same people to build higher level of rapport, friendship even, right? And this works well too. This is one of the things that we do. We put you folks into the same room with people over and over and over again, and it builds familiarity and it leads to a greater level of referrals. That's the secret sauce for this great city. So yesterday, when I mentioned about about who knows you and who they know to be able to refer back to you, that is part really of the building rapport, making friendships, because people refer to friends, they refer to people that they trust, right? So it totally makes sense to get out there and build those warm friendships. So I want to present another common sense idea. All right, and this is where we get down to it, and I'm going to jump on John because he's always very aligned with what I'm thinking about here. And that is, it's not who you know or who knows you. It is who trusts you. right? So think about it. How then, in this type of environment, do you build trust? Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was going to say, right? Especially when the people you know are your clients already. So it makes my life a lot easier when someone calls me and says, "Hey, Lisa gave me your number." Or, "Hey, Peter gave me your number," and I automatically know how to steer that conversation, right? Because then it's like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, Peter trusts me. He took all his radio ads, all the money for that, gave them to me. Never looked back." And that will kind of echo what he's already told them. So yeah, it's not just who knows who and who does what, but it's also knowing what that person is telling them about you. That you need to know.
Okay. Anybody else on building trust? You know what? I'm going to pick on Christiane. Are you there? Christiane.
I am.
Christiane, your industry,
right
what
here.
you do is amazing. So why don't you tell everybody what you do and then respond?
Okay, well, I'm a Ontario licensed wedding officiant, and business is really picking up, as you can tell, after 2 years. That could not be more closer to the truth as who do you trust? Because when people refer you, and in my business, basically it's 99% referrals. That's where I get my business. And it always comes back to trust. And people will always say that, oh, they saw you, or they heard this. So, and then once I engage with them, and then it does become about, my first line is thank you for your trust in me. That is my first line once I engage with my couples, because that is what it is at the end of the day, for sure.
Cool. Jackie, you had your hand up.
Oh, I was going to say people like people who are like them. So a lot of it is about finding the common ground when you're talking to people, so that they have something that they can relate to that already makes sense to them.
So, but think about it. I mean, how do you trust people that you just met? Like, how do you start the process of building that trust when you're walking into a networking group? We've all walked into a room where we didn't know anybody, and you look around, there's all these strangers and they're all schmoozing. How do you start that process?
Melissa has her hand up as well.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Hi, I'm new to the group. My name's Melissa Anders. I'm a life coach. And I think the best story that I've heard about trust was actually from Brene Brown. I don't know if anyone's familiar with her and her work. And she talks about it as a marble jar. So trust is not about from the research that she's done, trust is not about these big sweeping acts that you do for people, but more about the everyday things that you do for people and the value that you create for them in their lives. So it's more about putting one marble in the jar, one after the other. And I just think this is such a beautiful idea, because it, for one, makes it smaller, right? Especially if we put it in the context of networking. Mm-hmm. It's not like you have to be, doing all of the things all of the time and helping everyone all the time, but, something sparks for you, something, you hear someone share something, and then, something that might be helpful to them, to reach out and just put that marble in the jar. I think that that's really how trust is built over time.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Neil.
Sorry, I'm just having breakfast, but I didn't expect to be called on that quickly after I raised my hand. But I wanted to
ask. When you speak, Neil, we all listen.
Oh God, no. I actually am hearing the word trust, which I really think is the core of what we're talking about. So what I'd like to hear is anybody else on the panel that I want to know how you build trust in your business, so you can sort of voice that to the group, but how do you actually build trust? But not just existing clients or people that you already know, but how do you build that trust with prospective clients or the people that
Mm.
are in your target market? How do you build that trust? What do you do? What do you say? What do you cultivate in order to have that trust so that it's easy for them to say yes to you? That's my real burning question.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Michael.
So trust, I think, starts from the first time you meet somebody. Some people will not work together right off the get-go. That you go, you know what, that person, just got a feeling it's not going to work with that person. There may be a mannerism, there could be whatever. So that's like the first level. Beyond that, it's about being genuine, being honest, doing what you say you're going to do. If you don't know something, tell the person you don't know it, but you'll get the answer. You build more trust doing that than kind of trying to BS your way through something, because people see through that right away, and they go, you know what, this guy's just blowing smoke. This is not a person I want to work with. It's better to say you don't know something, tell them you'll get the answer, and then make sure that you do get that answer. And that's how you start building that trust and that rapport.
It's funny when you say that, Michael, that it's a feeling that you get when you first meet somebody about trust. And I just think about all those people who had that feeling and ended up still marrying that person anyway. Go ahead, John.
That's a pretty playful note there, Ivan. Two things I didn't say. So I'm prospecting with a new client, build trust. I'm transparent. Hey, how you doing? You want to talk about references? Here's some reports. You can talk to the business owners that I've worked with. So very transparent. I tell people, it's not a magic pill, that kind of stuff. And then when I have that client, to keep that trust and build it, again, transparency. Here's your reports. Here's your results. And one of the biggest things is don't just report when you're doing well. If you have a bad month, hey, listen, numbers are down. We're going to fix it. Don't worry. We're going to do this. But I think constant communication is a really good way to build trust, and transparency is really big in our agency.
Yeah, communicate even when it's bad news, but communicate. Yeah. Don't ghost people, right? Yes, Jennifer.
In my world, as a social media manager, online coach, there's a lot of talk about the no trust factor, and I really think it's the no trust factor, because they have to kind of get to know who you are before they're going to like you, and that's when, once they like you, they're going to start developing trust with you. But to get through those 3 stages, you have to be your most authentic self. You have to be what they see is what they get when they talk to you, from, an Instagram post to a direct message to an actual conversation with you. You should look, sound, and feel the same on all 3 stages. And if you don't, you're going to end up destroying the trust that they built with you from engaging in your social media. That's where I do most of my prospecting and engagement and building rapport and relationships with people, is through social media. I do it for my clients. But if you especially because I do it for people, if I share Instagram content or Facebook posts and it doesn't actually translate to what they sound like in real life, I've hurt their business, because that rapport and that trust is broken before they even finish the phone call, because there's not that connection that was built through social. So understanding what you stand for, what you want to sound like, who you want to talk to, the language you want to speak is really, really key, because it allows you to be consistent in every stage of attracting your clients, whether it's Instagram, in person, virtual networking, or actually doing your connection calls. It stays the same. And that's really where trust starts to form, because trust comes with time. So the more time and consistency you put into it, the more they're going to trust you.
Yeah, that's a really great point, because, when you think about it, I feel more comfortable referring to people that are consistent, right? That I know that they're not going to come off a little strange when I introduce them to somebody. All right, go ahead, Chris. And you're on mute.
Oh, that's much better. Yeah, no, unfortunately when you're fourth guy, that everybody takes what you were going to say. But my big thing is being who I am and being consistent. It's, trust is a process. It's not a one-time event. And I think the one thing that we've all learned from being online so much is there's a tremendous amount of BS out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've all developed that BS meter. And I just find that, if I get on a Zoom with somebody, I can pick that vibe up really fast where, it's flavor of the week. And next week they'll be selling something else. And I'm thinking, yeah, really, later,
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. I hear you because when you're thinking about building trust, right? The very first time that you meet somebody, it is about the approach. It's about their willingness to have a conversation with you. And I'll tell you this: what I find is if I'm speaking to someone and I'm speaking to them about them, right? The more I speak to them about them, the more they trust me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's like anything else. You do business with who you know, like, and trust. Well, to get to know them, you got to ask questions,
right?
Because we don't come with giant labels over our heads, which would make life a lot simpler, but we don't. So if you don't ask questions, you don't know. The other thing that I find is when I ask questions, I like to get the same kind of answers about them as about their business. Like
Right.
if they have a business persona, I'm thinking, yeah, what's that hiding? That's my first thing is like,
Right.
hello.
Right.
I like to deal with the same person, whether I'm dealing with them in business or on a personal level.
Absolutely. Lynn.
Yeah, I think Michael and is it Jennifer mentioned authenticity and honesty. Those are the two top things. Like, just be yourself because you're going to attract the people that I think somebody else said you've got common ground, right? And as long as you're yourself, you're going to attract like-minded people, and then you can just continue being yourself. Because if you're pretending to be something else, eventually they'll figure out who you are, and then you definitely lose the trust. Another big one too is smiles. I look for smiles. So I have to say the last 2 years it's been really hard with people hiding behind masks, and I count a lot on the visual of seeing people's just seeing the smiles and seeing the eyes as well. But the connection between the two is important too, because the eyes will give away other things as well. So they have to match, and I have to see it to see that it matches.
Absolutely. Frida.
I think you need to commit to your craft. You need to commit to building the rapport and building the relationships. You can't just expect someone to know, like, and trust you instantly. You need to commit to doing the time, to doing the work, to coming through on all the things that you say, to be real and to be a genuine in everything, in every aspect of the building of the rapport and the building of the relationship.
Yeah, you're touching on an amazing point. So this is my next point on this, and that is follow through.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you meet somebody and you have good rapport, and you say, you know what, I think I'm going to work with that guy. Or that girl. I think I'm going to work with them. They seem pretty cool. And then no follow through, or there's follow through, but it's follow through. A month, 2 months later, 3 months, 5 months later, right? At that point, you think they go into the friend zone. You know what I mean? Like, we'll hang out and have a coffee, but I'm just not going to do business with them. Frida, your thoughts?
I believe that's very, very crucial that you follow through and that you do the follow-up. Like, I'm trying to do some of the follow-up from Thursday. Friday was a washout because I took my grandson to the hospital. So I wanted to really touch base with people on Friday. I did it with a couple, but That's because I already had them on Facebook, but now to get that information inputted. But I'm sorry to tell you guys, I got to run today. I have a different Zoom booked. So have a great week, everyone. We'll see you
Good
next
seeing you,
month.
Frida. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So, and just a little note before I go to Chris here is that everyone knows I was at a trade show on last week, and I picked up a whole bunch of cards, and of course, I responded to everybody the next day. But of all the people that I got cards from, I got only 3 people sending me a "Hey, it's nice." You think, all that work to go and pick up business cards, and then there's no, I trusted that we're going to talk again. You'd say something to me, not even a response to my email. Was it something I said? Anyway, Chris?
Two quick things. One of which is, there's a very famous quote from Oscar Wilde called, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken," which I really adhere to because I like it. And the other thing is that I'm amazed that you go to the effort of meeting somebody, you follow, you talk to them, and then they disappear. It's like, hello, where'd you go? It's like, why make the effort to get to know somebody and then disappear?
Yeah, absolutely.
It just doesn't make sense.
Jackie?
You're planting seeds. So whether they show up or they don't show up, it's what's aligned for you in that moment. And sometimes when they don't, because I used to get really frustrated over that, and I changed my mindset around it to they're not meant for me, and probably would be a big pain in my butt. So, because if people aren't ready for whatever it is you have to offer and you're having to chase them, that's a lot of work. I don't want to chase people. I want to create something that they want. I've got something to give. And if you want it, let's do something. And if not, I bless and release. If you want it later,
Bless and release. I love that term. I'm going to write that down, Jackie.
Right? Bless and release. They're just not for you. And I will say that I had one woman tell me, it's not the right time. Can I keep your contact to contact you later? And I'm thinking, I'm never going to hear from that woman again. 4 days later, she emailed me back and went, "Okay, it's time. Can I book a call?"
Wonderful. Right.
Stay open.
Yeah. And you never know when they're going to come back. It could be years later.
My philosophy on that point is what's meant for you is already yours. So you don't have to fight if it's not yours. It's already, what's yours is already yours.
All right, Neil.
Yeah. So I wanted to sort of ask an aside from Jackie's point, what she said about, just leaving them alone and let them come to you. So how do we create more of a pull than a push?
Ah, nice.
So how do you pull clients into you rather than push them to come to you? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
How do you remember that reality distortion feel I was talking to you about, Ivan?
Yes. Yeah.
How do we create a field that would pull clients in rather than, get behind them and push them in, if you know what I mean?
Oh man, do I ever have ideas on that?
Good. So that's what I want to hear. I mean, that would be interesting. And I think this could be, I don't know if you could cover all of this in one Monday morning, but I think this might be the subject of a workshop.
I think that's a discussion lounge. John, go ahead. Love to hear your thoughts.
Not so much a thought, it's kind of a funny response to that.
And just so that you know, John, your microphone is just a little jacked there for me.
Can you hear me better now?
Okay, yeah, continue.
I was gonna say the most leads I ever got in my life was the week after I made the announcement that I wasn't taking any clients. As soon as I said I wasn't taking clients, I got like 30 leads.
John, we can't hear you.
He's still cutting out.
You have a bad connection, John. Check your microphone.
Yeah. Usually it's spot on, but just today it's a little off there. All right, somebody else had their hand up, and then we'll come back to you, John.
I did, and I completely forget what I was going to say.
You forgot.
Give me a second. Well, there are certain things that you can do. Oh, yes. The one thing that I've been working on that's been advised to me is often I would give people too much in the beginning, and that would become overwhelming for them and sort of send them running in the other direction. So one of the things you want to leave is people in a sense of intrigue and interest, because then they're leaning in and they want to either see more or do more in that way. So knowing what your value is and then only spoon feeding them little bits of it so that they actually want to come back and get more from you is one way. There are other ideal and quantum rapport methods. And actually, over this conversation, that is what we're going to talk about tomorrow at The Secret Sauce, is little things that you can actually do with your body and your voice and techniques like that that enable you to draw somebody in to get them pacing with you so that you're leading them where you want them to go.
I'll throw out my thoughts on this, right? And I'm no coach, right? But I will say this. I find that, communication, someone said smiles, communicating with people, because when you meet somebody the very first time, they want to know that you're serious. You're a serious person, but you're also relatable. And empathy is really important. And that doesn't mean, oh, really? I'm so sorry. But I'm talking about like authentic empathy, where you're tracking with what they're saying and you're responding appropriately in a real way. But, I find that if it's about them, if everything, my communication is about them, it tends to work in my favor, which is a little backwards. I know it sounds a little backwards, but when I speak to people, it's always about them. And I find that then they refer to me. So anybody's thoughts on that? Go ahead.
I think
Adam.
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Adam. I didn't see your hand, sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to add to what you're saying there. I think that having the listening skills that we use are really important. Our reactions that we have are really important in that communication process, because you want people to feel safe to express themselves honestly. And part of that is having that compassion and that empathy and really listening to listen, not even just to the words, but also to what's behind the words.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Lynn.
Yep. I don't know if anybody's read the book, The Go-Giver, but that is one of my all-time favorite books. And it's really centered about what you give to people. And it doesn't mean, giving away free stuff. It's about the value and the attention and listening and just things that you can give and not expect anything back. And what it is that, the more you give, the universe works in amazing ways, and you attract what you give out, and you actually attract it tenfold. So just not to focus on what are you going to get back, but really just what can you do to give better value to the other person? And eventually it comes back. And it may not be from that person. It may be from somebody else, but it's the whole universe working with the energy together, right? So I get the law of attraction. But if you haven't read that book, I would highly recommend grabbing it. It's not a very big book, and you could probably read it in a couple hours.
Awesome. Okay, Neil.
Let Chris go first.
Okay, Chris.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I just had in fact, I have it right here written on my thing. It says, listen to understand, not reply.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a reminder to me, because I have a habit to solve the problem before I fully understand it.
Absolutely. Okay, go ahead, Neil.
All right. So I'm hearing listening, I'm hearing communicating, I'm hearing empathy, and you made some good points, Ivan, about being relatable. Some people say smile and all that. So, okay. So my question is, when you meet someone for the first time, the very first time you meet somebody, what do you do? What do you do in that first 30 seconds to a minute in order to get them pulled into you?
Okay, so I'd like to share what my ideas are. I like to look at people in the eye directly and then smile. And I also find that with men, I feel very comfortable reaching out and touching their arm, right? Like I physically connect, and knee-jerk reaction, they reach up and they grab my arm. And then we embrace. No, I'm kidding. I'm just teasing you. But I just find that just there's a connection there, and I also slow down my communication, and we chat and whatever else. But everything I do is about what they're about. So I don't talk about me unless they ask, but I talk about what they're doing, because you know what, the thing that I learned from them might not be applicable in a relationship with them, but down the road, I'm going to meet somebody who does what they do or does in a similar industry. And it gives me information that helps me to be more relatable to the next person. Right. So, I'm always, ABL, always be learning. Right. I'm sure that
So
somebody else
so
said
it's
that.
so it's fair to say that what you're doing is when you meet someone for the first time, you're not automatically thinking that they can be a client or potential client. You just want to learn about who they are, what they do, and the value you get in that is that you use that information to relate to the next person, or to relate it to other things in your life.
Yeah, I want them to remember me.
You want them to remember you. Okay, that's the key. You're doing this to be memorable.
Yes, to be right.
Okay,
Yeah, for
gotcha.
sure. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just going to say, if you go out with the intention of making a friend to start with, you'll be amazed at how people just relax, because nobody wants to be sold. They like to buy, but they don't want to be sold. So
right,
just go in and say, hi, how you doing?
That's right. Absolutely.
Really low key, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
People just kind of go hi, because that's what we're all about. We're really about that's a basis of any relationship, is you get to know them. You either like them or you don't like them, and that's how you decide whether you're going to do business with them.
Chris, I also find that when I talk to people about them, eventually they start hearing themselves talk, and they go, wait, okay, enough about me, Ivan. So tell me a little bit about you. And that's usually
not everyone, Ivan.
Not everyone, but for the most part, right? But that's when I say, yeah, I'll tell you in a couple seconds, but I really want to drill down a little bit more. I want to learn more about what you said about this and this, and then they'll chat more. And then usually I then say, well, that was really good. And then I walk away, and I find that they'll come and find me. There is a process in them leaving where they are and coming and find me that is really, really important. Right. So I allow that process to happen, and it seems to work out really well. Go ahead, Jane and Jennifer. Jane.
There's a Jane and a Jennifer. It's a Jennifer, Jane, and a Jane. So I don't know about you guys, but I trust my gut, my intuition pretty good. I've learned to really trust first impressions about people. And I know when someone's coming to me because they want to tell me something. And that's an immediate, no, thank you. So if you go into a conversation on any level, whether you've known them for 5 minutes or 5 years with the intent to sell, they're going to recognize that. So if you go in with your intention set to build a connection and to serve, right? Because selling is service. When you sell, you're serving them by offering them something that they need, or being able to up level their life, whatever you are selling, regardless of what your business is, you're serving them with what you offer. So when you come into it with, you just want to serve. So whether that's answering a quick question on that call or, telling them about your product, you're not there to sell, you're there to serve. And when you set that intent from the get-go, that opens up a whole new set of doors for you, because you're not coming off as a sales hole. You're coming off as someone who's ready to help them achieve their goals, get to the next level or meet their dreams. Whatever it is you do, don't be a sales hole. That's my favorite term right now, by the way.
That's a nice one. Saleshole.com. Listen, I was thinking about the networking environment, right? You go into a room, and when you go into that room, everybody in that room, before they got there, they set aside all their arsenal for selling you, right? They got their business cards, they put on their best cologne, they whatever, right? They even have a shirt that says their company name on it, wherever it is, over here someplace. Anyways, the point is that when you're in that room, everybody that comes up to you, you know, okay, all right, yeah, okay. So what do you? We don't even play around anymore. We're asking you straight out. What do you do? Okay, what do you do? Give me your card, right? Right. But imagine if in that environment, right, you are atypical. And I'll Chris, before I get to you, I'll tell you a story about a speed networking event I went to up in Waterdown, and you know, they give you I think a minute and a half or 3 minutes or whatever it is, then you got to switch, and then you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. Anyway, the point is, so in there, you know, every person that came to me, I used up their time and my time talking about them, right? Right. And so then, but I didn't. Anyway, next person, and you do the dance, right? Then Teresa was there, and she was going down the aisle, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm with my agency." And she goes, yeah, "So what do you guys do?" Because I talked to Ivan, and we never got a chance to get to it. They were very, very interested, and they remembered my name. And so I just find that there's something about focusing on other people that in their lives that doesn't happen very often in this environment. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say something that I found really helpful. There's a book there's a bunch of books and videos by this guy called Robert Rome. And he has a kind of a system for analyzing personalities. And the difference is that it teaches you how to react to people. So, for example, there's an S personality, which is a very supportive kind of person, but they also tend to be shy. So if I'm a D, which is a very dynamic, outgoing kind of person, I'm not going to run up to them and rip my hand out because I'm going to scare the heck out of them. I used to do international stuff, and I would have a list of stuff that I would have to send out to the sales guys because they would be in international situations like in Indonesia, where there's all these little tiny people, and I've got a 6'4", 200-pound Texan. And the first thing he does is whip out this hand that's the size of this poor little guy's head and scares the bejesus out of them, because that's not the way they do business there. But it's just an understanding of how different people work. And I found it tremendously helpful.
Cool. All right. Okay, Melissa.
Actually, I have a question for Neil if he's open to it, because I'm just curious. I've been looking at this. I've been looking at this too about attracting clients versus like getting clients, and so I'm curious, like what drives you to purchase? Like what drives you to sell, and then connecting the dots between what others have shared about like that common ground and like trust and creating those common themes. If you can ask that of yourself and like what's the process for you, and then that might give you some clues as to how you want to be.
Point. Yes, I appreciate that. That's a good idea.
Does anything pop for you when I ask?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
How I think a lot of it has to do with, well, it depends on what it is I'm looking at. But let's say I'm looking at a piece of camera equipment, right? One of the first things I do is I would go on YouTube and look and see what other people say about it, how they've used it. So for me, that is kind of that is the, I know a lot of YouTubers are paid. So you know, you have to kind of shift through some of that. But at the same time, you get some information that would allow you to think more clearly about what it is you think you want to buy and why maybe you want to buy it. And then maybe if I know somebody who used that equipment, or if I know somebody who's more experienced, you know, using that type of equipment, I could ask them a question about it. And then based on what so that's like if I'm buying a product from, say, some company somewhere, Amazon, wherever. So there's no real human connection there. But then if I'm say dealing with somebody person to person, definitely I want to feel like I like them, and definitely they have to be trustworthy in my mind. But they also, I mean, they, at the end of the day, they have to demonstrate that their service or product is going to solve the issue that I have. If it's not going to, then, you know, I can like and trust them all I want, but it's definitely not going to work for me. So,
all right,
That's-
listen,
yes.
I want to get to Adam, and then I have a few questions for everybody. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a sticking to the trust, rapport, and that impression within that first minute. There's been a lot of great points here. I love like everything that everybody's come up with. I feel there's a lot of things that can be summed into one thing, which is remaining curious. Like when we're trying to make friends, when we're building relationships, when we're serving, the first thing we have to do is ask questions, and basically it comes from remaining curious. And the other thing that happens from remaining curious is that when we do that, we're expanding outward. That's a very open thing to do. So we expand, and then the other person is going to expand as well. Likewise, they're going to mirror that, which means that they're going to be more open too, which then allows for a conversation to happen. So that's the first point. The second point is that 1 minute that we're spending with that person, that 1 minute is built off of so much more. Going deep on this, it's really built on our philosophies. They're seen yet unseen within that minute. What we've done previous, how we set up our day, the habits we have. If we're in a high energetic state, that doesn't all come from that minute. You know, there's mental stuff that happens that creates energy, but our physiology being in a good place, you know, how we set ourselves up, all of that comes through in that 1 minute where we're meeting somebody. So there's a lot more to what's happening there than what's actually going on. It's really, that's based on so much more that we've created in our lives before that.
Cool. All right, folks. Listen, Lisa, you have a lot, a lot to work on in the discussion lounge, folks. I want to just quickly go through a few questions I have. Some of these. Listen, if any of these questions jump out at you and you want to make a comment on it, please do. Okay. They're to help you touch on different things, including trust and different things. Okay, so and where you're at, right? So here it is. I always ask a business about their ethical values and social responsibility before doing business with them. Anybody? You always ask. You go to Best Buy, you say, before I buy that TV, I want to find out about your ethical, social response. Is this really? Okay, so think about that.
I do.
Do you?
I research
Awesome.
every time. Yep.
I love it. Okay, anybody else? Not so much. Okay. I really enjoy Kevin Spacey and his acting and can't wait to see his next film. Awesome. Okay, good. At least this one. I often feel shy to follow up with a client mid-project. Okay, all right. Networking for me is more about the chance to get out socially and not really about gaining new prospects. Okay, there's always a few. Nice, okay. I know I need to be better at each stage of the networking process: preparation, networking, and follow-up. Okay, nice. I hate small talk. This building rapport thing is tough. Okay. I want technology to be, I want technology to do the connecting for me. Just give me the qualified leads. Okay.
That would be a boring world, but yeah, I think that would save a lot of time.
Okay. All right. I don't think any of my clients know me well. All right. I think too many clients know me too well. Okay. I get referrals often. Okay, good. Or I've gotten no referrals in the past year. All right. Interesting. Cool. All right. Any thoughts on those questions? I just made those up last night, but I love that Kevin Spacey one because,
Yeah, I was going to ask you where that one come from.
First of all, everybody knows the controversy, okay? And I'm not making a political or social commentary on this. I'm just saying, for me, I really enjoyed his acting, okay? That's all. But he's, I guess he's somewhat forgiven because he has 2 films that are coming out soon. So rock and roll. Okay. That's about it. Listen, everybody, thank you so much. Don't forget to stick around for Lisa Bisciotti and the discussion lounge. So especially, Lynn, if you have time, this is your very first, since you're a member, this is where the referrals happen and brainstorming and discussion. So definitely stick around for that. And just another reminder that this week, right afterwards, of course, we have the lounge tomorrow. We have the City Leader call in the morning and the secret sauce mindset and momentum tomorrow at noon. And then, of course, Wednesday morning, we have real estate investing with Yuri Nesbitt. And then Thursday morning, tech talk with Catherine Davies. And Thursday at 11 o'clock, we have our back end training. So you can learn how to use all of our features. All right. So thank you all very, very much. Lisa, it is all yours.